Okay, I'll finish up with a poem I've been requested to do. A poem by Mr. Murray Harton, who I'm sure a lot of the rugby people in the room will know. Murray's a good mate of mine. I just spent a week with him up at the Gympie Muster. So here we go. Here's Murray's Turbulence. Here's a tale of Billy Hayes from out near Alice Springs. A wild young ringer in his day, he'd done some crazy things. He jumped bulls over fences, raced a colt up Ayers Rock, said his legs weren't made for walking, they were made for riding stock. A legend round the rodeos, from aileron to broom, an untried colt at 6 a.m. was saddle broke by noon. No form of equine foolery Bill wasn't going to try. Only one thing ever spooked him. He was way too scared to fly. If I was meant to do it, I'd have feathers and a beak. You fly, get there in a day, I'll drive and waste a week. I'm told they're safe as houses and mechanically they're sound, but I don't see no rope or bridle, so I'm sticking on the ground. But one day Billy got a phone call from his mate in Adelaide. He'd got his girl in trouble, so the wedding cards were played. Bill, I don't care how you do it. You can beg or steal or borrow, but you've got to catch a plane because the big day's on tomorrow. Bill cursed and spat and said, that dopey bloody coot. He knows I'd climb on anything that's gone out to shoot. Caught stallions that'd kill you. Caught bulls gone off their brain. But I never thought I'd see the day I'd have to catch a plane. Well, he legged it to the airport. He thought, well, this is it. And the girl behind the counter said, sir, where would you like to sit? Bill goes, you know that black box thing they always seem to find? You can stick me right inside it, if you wouldn't bloody mind. Now, the lady smiled politely and said, sir, I'll just take your bag. He said, I don't bloody think so. And by the way, it's called a swag. Now, Bill was sweating buckets when they finally cleared the strip. He had his seatbelt on that tight, he was bleeding from the hip. But when they levelled out, he stopped shaking at the knees, he looked around, relaxed and thought, this flying game's a breeze. He clipped his belt undone and stretched out in his seat. But he couldn't stretch that far because his swag was at his feet. Then the captain mumbled something. Bill asked the hostess what was said. Sir, you'd better buckle up. There's some turbulence ahead. Turbulence, what's that? Sir, it's pockets caused by heat. And when it gets severe, it can throw you from your seat. Throw me, I'll be buggered. He pushed his seat right back. He wrapped his legs around his swag and stuck his left hand through the strap. He jammed in his Akubra, he was ready now to ride, and things got pretty bumpy, and Billy yelled, outside! Now the plane, she dropped 1,000 feet, rose up 500 more, and his head hit the ceiling and he gave a mighty roar. I rode all through the territory and never come unstuck, so give me all you got, big bird, and buck, you bastard buck. While the passengers were screaming in fear of certain death, Billy hooped and hollered to near and out of breath. You'd think that canvas swag was welded to his arse. And before the ringer knew it, he bucked up to business class. There seemed no way to stop this creature. It had 10 gears in reverse. It didn't worry Billy, just bucked on through to first. He'd done somersaults to a twist on this mongrel mount from hell. He yelled out to the pilot, for Christ's sake, ring the bell. He'd been upside down, inside out, done flips and triple spins. You might have seen some great rides in your time, but hands down, Billy wins. When the flight returned to normal, he was flat out on the deck. Still stuck to his swag, but he looked a bloody wreck. But he pulled himself together, stood up and raised his hat. He said, I've had some great rides in my time, but never one like that. An 8-second spin in Alice proves you're made of sturdy stuff, but I was on there near a minute, and I reckon that's enough. Now the first-class folk were dumbstruck at this crazy ringer's feat, but Bill just grabbed a crown and he walked back to his seat. Now years have passed and Bill's long give the bucking game away. Too many breaks and dusty miles for far too little pay. Now planes are not a problem. In fact, he'd rather fly than ride. When you talk about his maiden voyage, his chest puffs out with pride. You can talk about your Rocky Ned and that old chainsaw bloke. I'd ride them both without a rope and roll a bloody smoke. There's cowboys around who think they're hot, but they ain't tasted heat till they've ridden time on Turbulence at 30,000 feet. Mr. Murray Harton, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.